Vince Gill, who is 67 years old, is a famous country singer. No one ever thought he would say this stuff. He is finally telling everyone the secrets about his time with the Eagles band, and what he says is more wild and surprising than anyone could have guessed. Even though he sings perfectly and seems calm, Vince is carrying a big, heavy feeling from having to meet crazy high hopes and a secret he's been keeping for a long time. Stay calm and listen close to what he tells everyone. Almost 10 years ago, a very sad thing happened in rock and roll when Glenn Frey died in January 2016. Glenn was one of the first people in the Eagles, and he didn't just help create the sound of American rock with classic songs like Hotel California, Take It Easy, and Lion Eyes. He was also the heart and soul of the whole band. When he passed away, it left a huge, empty space in the band members' hearts and also in the band's famous singing sound. Fans all over the world were very sad to lose a person whose music had been important for many years, and everyone wondered what would happen to the band next. Because of this sad event, the Eagles had a very important choice to make. How could they keep going without one of their most important singers? The other members, Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and Timothy B. Schmidt, really wanted the band's history to continue, but they knew that to keep playing, they needed someone who could respect Glenn's special music without just copying him. After thinking about it very carefully, they asked Vince Gill to join them. He was an amazing country singer-songwriter and could play many instruments. Vince Gill, who was famous for his amazing guitar playing and his nice, emotional singing voice, had loved the Eagles for a long time. For Vince, being asked by the band was a great honor but also a huge job. He has often talked about how much he looked up to the group, saying he was a fan for his whole life and understood how special and important their music was. In chats with interviewers, Vince has made it clear that he never thought of himself as replacing Glenn Frey. Instead, he thought it was a chance to help keep the main spirit of the band alive. He wanted to sing Glenn's parts with great respect while also using his own musical talent to keep the group strong. When he officially joined the Eagles in 2017, Vince had the tough job of stepping into a role that had been the main thing for the band for over 40 years. He learned all the tricky parts of the songs, Glenn's harmonies, the guitar tricks, and how to act on stage. He did all of this while still staying true to himself. His joining meant the Eagles could keep traveling and playing shows, giving fans the chance to hear the band's music almost like it was when it was first made. Besides his talent, Vince brought a kind and humble feeling to the stage. This made the band and the audience feel better, making the sadness of losing a main member a little easier and helping the group start a new time. In interviews, Vince has told stories about his first times on stage with the band, describing the nervous, unsure feeling the audience had during those first shows. One story he often shares is about singing the song Take It to the Limit. This song is really known for Glenn Frey's powerful high notes and being one of the most emotional moments in Eagles concerts. As Vince sang the first few lines, he felt like every person in the audience was staring and judging him, as if every listener was quietly asking if this new voice could truly honor the song's powerful feeling. He said there was a feeling of worry because fans were not just checking if he could sing well, but also wondering if the band could really go on without Glenn. Vince says the moment everything changed came right after the first big chorus of Take It to the Limit. He described a small but huge shift in the room, a feeling of relief washing over the audience as if they were all thinking, "I think this is going to be okay." He felt that moment was really quite beautiful. It was a quiet way for the longtime fans to show they were okay with trusting him, to accept him not as a new Glenn, but as someone who promised to keep the honesty and soul of the Eagles safe. This tender, shared agreement became a big part of Vince's early time with the band. These first shows taught Vince important things about being humble and making a connection. He understood that just being great at music wasn't enough. He had to feel the emotion, history, and heart of the music. Each song became like a conversation with the audience, a way to respect the past while also presenting his own real voice. As time went on and fans saw how much he respected the music, how kind and warm he was, and how talented he was, their worries slowly went away. Reviews from these early tours often praised how Vince could fit in perfectly with the band while still being himself, which showed how thoughtful and respectful he was. Toward the songs, Even after touring with the Eagles for several years, Vince Gill has been very careful about balancing his own talent with the band's legendary list of songs. In a 2025 chat with American Songwriter, he gave a clear look into how he thinks about playing with the group, especially when people ask if he should sing his own songs during Eagles shows. Vince shared that Don Henley had once suggested he sing one of his own songs, specifically Whenever You Come Around, a song that was a big hit in Vince's own long singing career. Even though including one of his songs might seem like a normal thing to do, Vince politely said no, giving a very thoughtful and smart reason. Vince explained that he didn't want to give the audience one more reason to be unhappy that he was there. For him, joining the Eagles was never about showing off his own fame or making people focus on his own solo songs. He was very aware that fans go to Eagles concerts to hear the music they have loved for many, many years. The singing together, the guitar solos, and the words that have become part of the background music of their lives. Even the thought of adding his own songs, no matter how much people liked them, could take away from that main focus. He imagined what people might think. I didn't come here to hear Vince Gill's songs, I came here to hear Eagles songs. That thought alone was enough to help him make his choice. This choice shows how deeply Vince respects the band's history and the big job he feels he has to honor it. Unlike some other musicians who might see joining a famous group as a chance to get more attention for their personal work, Vince thought about his role with humility and control. He made sure not to mix up his own music world with the Eagles' world, saying, I never wanted to push my world into theirs and vice versa. He feels that the music of the Eagles is like a treasure that belongs to everyone, very important to both fans and the band, and it was never about expressing himself or putting his own story into the band's long history. In June 2025, Vince Gill spoke openly in a great interview with Parade, giving a special look into how he sees his place in the Eagles and how he manages it alongside his own busy solo career. Vince, who is widely known as a master electric guitarist and one of the best singers in modern country music, admitted that the main thing he brings to the band is his voice. Even though he is incredibly good at playing instruments, he explained that the band brought him in especially for his singing ability, mainly to honor the rich harmonies and special sound that Glenn Frey had helped to create. This detail shows the careful nature of joining a legendary group. While being talented at instruments is super important, the ability to fit into a singing style that already exists is often even more necessary. Even with his crucial role, Vince confessed to sometimes missing his own songs, showing a natural struggle between his own art and the job of working with others. I miss my own career. I really miss that music, he said, capturing the mix of happiness and sadness that comes from singing famous songs that are not his own. For a talented artist like Vince, whose solo music spans decades and includes many #1 hits, the wish to go back to his personal songs is easy to understand. Yet his comments also show maturity and self-awareness. He knows that being a part of the Eagles is a special chance to be part of something famous in culture and to help make music history in a truly important way. At the same time, Vince highlighted how much he enjoys the band's togetherness and his ability to find happiness while doing it. If I can have more fun, then the people will too, he said, stressing his belief that performing is just as much about emotional connection and energy as it is about being perfectly accurate with the music. His method works both ways. When he enjoys himself on stage, that joy spreads to the audience, making the live show better for both longtime fans and people listening for the first time. Vince's view shows a deep understanding of his role, not just as a musician, but as a keeper of the audience's experience, balancing respect for the Eagles' history with his own living creative energy. Looking ahead, Vince confirmed that he is still working on his own solo music while also working with the band. He mentioned that he has new music being created, saying he is getting ready to put out 7 to 9 new songs, which signals that while he is strongly dedicated to the Eagles, his personal art is still very much active. Also, he keeps touring a lot, playing shows both on his own and with the Eagles, including their highly publicized shows in Las Vegas. These two paths show his amazing ability to manage two separate music worlds, honoring the past with the Eagles while also growing his own changing creative voice. In a Boston Globe interview, he stressed that he doesn't really want to be the main focus, a quality that makes him different from many of the huge, attention-seeking personalities who have been famous in the rock world. This down-to-earth team player approach is exactly why Don Henley specifically sought him out after Glenn Frey passed away. Henley understood that Vince knew what it meant to be in a band, not as a star looking for personal praise, but as a musician dedicated to the group's sound, chemistry, and history. For a band with decades of history and several strong personalities, this kind of attitude was not just a nice thing to have, it was necessary. Vince's humble attitude shows up in more than just his words. It's clear in how he works with his bandmates on stage and when they practice. He has shared short stories that show both his respect for his colleagues and how talented and flexible he is as a musician. One such story is about playing Joe Walsh's famous song, Rocky Mountain Way. While playing loud power chords, Vince remembers Joe Walsh looking over in surprise and saying, "I thought you were a bluegrasser." Vince's answer was very modest and funny. "Well, I am, but I like this and I can do this too." This little exchange shows not only his skill in changing between different kinds of music, from country to rock, but also his willingness to meet the band's needs instead of insisting on his own favorite things. He changes easily, focusing on making the song sound good rather than drawing attention to himself. For Vince, being a part of the Eagles has never been about his ego or getting personal fame. Unlike some musicians who see joining a legendary group as a chance to show off their own skills, he sees his role as a caretaker. He views himself as someone who looks after the band's history, someone whose main goal is to keep the heart of their music alive and make sure that every show lives up to the high hopes built up over decades. His presence helps people understand that great music is often less about one person's genius and more about working together, trusting each other, and having the same vision. Vince's humility also connects with audiences and critics alike. Fans feel that he truly wants the songs to be the star, that his mission is to help the music rather than take the spotlight from it. This attitude has earned him respect both on stage and behind the scenes, helping to smooth out a tough change after Glenn Frey's death. Even as a very successful solo artist with lots of awards and decades of experience, Vince's focus remains on singing together well, good chemistry, and honesty, putting the group's importance over his own personal wishes. For Vince Gill, joining the Eagles has never been just a job move. In his own words, it has been an unbelievable opportunity. From the very first moment he was asked to take on the role left empty by Glenn Frey's passing, Vince has approached the experience with deep thankfulness and respect. In many interviews, he has said that every time he performs, he feels a deep sense of responsibility, not just to the music itself, but to the fans who have loved it for decades and to the history of the band that helped shape rock music. He has said that stepping on stage brings a mix of wonder and humility because the songs he performs are more than just hits. They are cultural milestones that have been important to many generations. Vince has been honest about the sad and happy mix of how he joined the band. He knows that the tragedy of Glenn Frey's death was what allowed the door to open for him, and he has thought about the delicate emotional weight of that fact. Despite this, he chooses to focus not on the sadness, but on the chance to honor the past. His view is that of a caretaker, someone trusted to preserve the main feeling of the Eagles' music while making sure the shows stay lively, real, and emotionally strong. In interviews, he often emphasizes that this is not about replacing Frey, but about contributing in a meaningful way to the band's ongoing story, keeping the music alive for both longtime fans and new audiences finding it for the first time. This thankfulness is tied up with Vince's own feeling of joy and privilege. He has said over and over again how thrilled he is to perform classics like Hotel California, Desperado, and Take It Easy, noting that he never forgets how lucky he is to sing songs that have defined the American music scene. He says each concert is a reminder of how fortunate he is to be part of something bigger than just himself. It is a chance to add to a musical history that spans decades and still touches people across generations. For him, the music is sacred, and the ability to join a band with such a history is both an honor and a responsibility he handles with great care. Vince's gratitude also shows up in his commitment to being professional and humble. He treats every show as a team effort, respecting what his bandmates bring, valuing the trust At Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and Timothy B. Schmidt have placed in him, and making sure the audience gets a real Eagles experience. This mindset allows him to navigate the tricky parts of being in a legendary band while still keeping his own identity as a musician. It also shows his understanding that a big opportunity comes with the duty to serve something larger than his personal ambition. What do you think about Vince Gill's secrets about the Eagles? Leave us your comments in the box below. We hope you have found this video helpful. Don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.